In less than 15 minutes, I'm going to expose the 10 silent destroyers that are keeping you stuck, broke, and perpetually exhausted. And more importantly, I'll show you the exact strategy to eliminate them without anyone around you noticing. By the end of this story, you'll have a clear and precise roadmap to reclaim your power, your peace, and your full potential. Here's what you're about to discover. First, I'll reveal the psychological traps that 99% of people fall into without even suspecting it. Then, I'll give you the exact elimination strategy for each of these destroyers. And finally, I'll share the one mindset shift that will make this transformation permanent. But listen closely. The most powerful revelation comes right at the end, so don't you dare skip ahead. Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're running on an endless treadmill, working hard but getting nowhere? It's not your fault. You've been carrying dead weight, and today, we're finally going to cut it loose. Let's begin. 1. Energy vampires disguised as friends. The first silent destroyer is people who drain your vitality while pretending to care about you. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That friend who only calls when they need a favor. The family member who turns every conversation into their personal therapy session. The colleague who dumps all their problems on you but disappears the moment you need support. Let me tell you Sarah's story. She shared her experience in the comments of one of my previous videos. She had a friend, let's call her Jessica, who would call her every night, sometimes for hours, to complain about her job, her boyfriend, her family. Sarah felt she was being a good friend just by listening. But look what happened. Sarah began to dread her phone ringing. She started avoiding social events because she was emotionally exhausted. Her own relationship suffered because she had no energy left to give. One day, Sarah realized something shocking. In 3 years of friendship, Jessica had never, not once, asked how she was doing. Not a single time. And when Sarah finally needed support during her father's illness, Jessica was nowhere to be found. It was in that moment that Sarah understood the vast difference between a friendship and an energy vampire. Here's what's really happening. They aren't in shape when I have more time. I came across a study from Harvard Business School that followed 1,000 people who said they wanted to start their own business. After 10 years, only 3% had done it, and the other 97%? They were still waiting for the right time. The researchers discovered that those who succeeded had one thing in common: they started before they felt ready. Take Colonel Sanders, for example. He was 62 years old, broke, and living on Social Security when he decided to franchise his chicken recipe. He was rejected 1,009 times before someone finally said yes. Imagine if he had waited until he felt ready or had more money. Kentucky Fried Chicken would never have existed. Here is the brutal truth. You are never going to feel completely ready. Ever. While you wait for the perfect moment, your dreams are dying of old age. The elimination strategy. Do something, anything, even if it's imperfect, today. Send that email. Make that call. Start that project. Messy action will always be infinitely better than perfect inaction. 3. The explanation addiction. Why do you feel the need to justify every one of your decisions to people who neither pay your bills nor live your life? This destroyer is subtle but lethal. Every time you over-explain your choices, you are surrendering power over your own life to others. One of my followers, Marcus, shared a very revealing story. He spent 20 minutes explaining to his neighbor why he was painting his house blue instead of white. 20 minutes! For a house color that had absolutely nothing to do with his neighbor's life. He realized he was seeking approval for decisions that were entirely his to make. Steve Jobs was famous for this. When people questioned Apple's design decisions, he didn't get into long explanations. His response was simple. We know what we're doing. Period. No justifications, no PowerPoint presentation on color theory or market research. Your haircut, your career change, your relationship status, none of it requires a formal presentation. The elimination strategy. Practice the power of silence. When someone questions your choices, try saying, "I've made a decision," and nothing more. End of discussion. Your life is not a democracy. 4. The comparison trap. Social media has turned comparison into a full-time job. Success won't show you the 3 years of prior failures. That fitness influencer with the perfect body won't post anything about their eating disorder. I know someone who spent $50,000 on fake lifestyle photos just to maintain their Instagram image, while in reality they were broke and living with their parents. The elimination strategy. Unfollow without mercy. If an account makes you feel inadequate, delete it. Your mental health is worth much more than staying up to date on someone else's fake life. 5. The victim identity. This is going to hurt, but someone has to say it. You've gotten too comfortable in your victim chair. Nothing ever works out for me. I never get lucky. Life is just harder for me. Let me tell you about Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty, sexually abused in her childhood, pregnant at 14, and lost the baby. By any standard, she had every right in the world to play the victim. Instead, she chose to focus on what she could control. She didn't deny her past, but she refused to let it define her future. Or consider Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs. He could have spent his life feeling sorry for himself. Instead, he became a motivational speaker who has inspired millions. When they ask him about his disability, he says, "I may not have limbs, but I have the ability to choose." Here's a reality check. Bad things happen to everyone. The difference between winners and losers isn't what happens to them, it's what they do next. The elimination strategy. Stop rehearsing the story of your misfortunes. Every time you catch yourself complaining, ask yourself this instead: what can I control right now? Victims focus on problems. Winners focus on solutions. Warren Buffett has a rule. He won't argue with anyone about investments for more than 5 minutes. His reasoning? Time spent arguing with fools is time not spent making money. He has a fortune of over $100 billion. I think he knows what he's talking about. One follower commented that they spent 3 hours arguing with a stranger on Facebook about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. 3 hours. That's enough time to learn a new skill, call a good friend, or work on a personal project. Instead, they argued about fruit on bread with someone they will never meet in person. The elimination strategy. Master things. She is organizing minds. Researchers at UCLA discovered that people living in cluttered homes have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, throughout the day. Think about your phone right now. How many apps do you have that you never use? How many notifications are enabled for apps that don't matter? The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes while they're awake. Your brain is being constantly interrupted. The elimination strategy. The one-touch rule. Touch something once and deal with it immediately. Delete it, delegate it, or do it. Your brain can't focus when it's constantly processing clutter. 8. False urgency. Not everything that screams urgent actually is. People have trained you to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you've fallen for it. That text message can wait. That email isn't a matter of life or death. That meeting could have been a simple email. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, only checks his email twice a day. Twice! And he has built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses. He realized that most urgent requests are simply other people's poor planning becoming your emergency. A study by the McKinsey Global Institute found that the average knowledge worker spends 28% of their work week managing email. That's more than 11 hours a week just reading and responding to messages. Imagine what you could accomplish with those 11 hours back. The elimination strategy. Create response windows. Check your messages at fixed times, not every time your phone buzzes. True emergencies are rare. Everything else can wait. 9. The prison of overthinking. Some of you are capable of overthinking the way you breathe. What if I breathe wrong and people notice? Stop. Overthinking isn't intelligence, it's fear in a lab coat. It doesn't solve problems, it multiplies them. Jeff Bezos has a method for making decisions. For reversible decisions, he gives himself 10 minutes. For irreversible decisions, he takes more time. But here's the key, he sets a deadline. Most decisions are reversible, which means most decisions don't deserve hours of analysis. Psychologists call it analysis paralysis. The more options you consider, the less satisfied you feel with your final choice. Barry Schwartz's research showed that people who are maximizers, those who always see someone. That's not kindness, it's self-betrayal. Warren Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." He isn't being cruel, he's being strategic with his most valuable resource, time. A follower named Jennifer shared that she agreed to be the maid of honor for someone she barely liked just because she couldn't say no. She spent $3,000 and countless hours on the wedding of someone who didn't even invite her to their housewarming party 6 months later. It was then that she realized that people-pleasing isn't about being nice, it's about being afraid. The elimination strategy: practice the sacred no. Start small. No, I can't work late tonight. No, I can't lend you money again. No, I don't want to go to that party. Yes, people will be upset. They'll get over it, but you will finally be free. The transformation. Let's review what you're eliminating. Energy vampires, the someday disease, the explanation addiction, the comparison trap, the victim identity, pointless arguments, clutter, false urgency, overthinking, and the need to please. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. Success isn't about adding more things to your life, it's about subtracting what doesn't serve you. Most people spend their entire lives collecting toxic habits, fake friends, and useless distractions as if they were trophies. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. Here is the final revelation I promised you: your life is not a storage unit. You don't have to keep everything. The strongest people aren't those who can carry the most weight. They are the ones who know what to let go of. Everything you eliminate creates space for something better. Eliminate the energy vampire and you'll make room for a real friend. Eliminate the someday mentality and you'll leave space for immediate action. Eliminate the need to please and you'll create space for self-respect. Your transformation begins right now. Choose one destroyer from this list and eliminate it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because once you start cutting away what doesn't serve you, your life will change so drastically it will scare you. And this is my challenge for you. In the comments, tell me which destroyer hit you the